Welcome back to Solar Impulse TV Live after what was a very exciting morning. A packed studio here in front of the Monaco Control Center, and we're back now. I'm dressed a little bit differently. I don't know if you've noticed, but look, Oman, it says this time. We're going to be changing these every time we're in a new place, and I've confidently put this one already because we're so close to landing in Oman at Muscat International Airport. And this has been a relatively short flight, short for Solar Impulse, quite a long one for anyone else. We're looking at around about 12 hours, but for Solar Impulse, that's nothing. Just wait for the next flights coming up. Even the flight that's coming after this one is going to be a record breaker, the longest solar aviation flight in terms of distance ever. And there's going to be many more coming as we head around the world on these extremely long legs over the oceans. But let's get back to where we are now. We left from Abu Dhabi Albertine Executive Airport this morning at 12 minutes past 3 Greenwich Mean Time. And let's take a look again at what happened. A lot of drama surrounding this takeoff. Let's take a look.
Si on trouve pas le bug, ils sont contre qu'on parte.
Et si le patron ne donne rien, moi je pense qu'on peut dire aussi, on va pas reporter le vol pour un truc qui n'apparaît pas, quoi.
I'll stand by for a few minutes.
We had a problem, short problem, then we reboot and everything is good. So you think you will cancel the flight?
I know that Peter want to cancel the flight because it is the most important DC we have in the airplane.
For me, Seb, if the option is to go to Muscat, because I think now we checked the systems, we checked the warnings, I would go there, even if we have to take the mobile hangar.
And to debug there.
Yes, I agree.
André, Albert, j'ai une bonne nouvelle pour vous. Je vous donne le go pour le départ de Solar Impulse. Bon vol.
Merci beaucoup, Albert. Bonne journée.
And when you were watching that, you might have thought, that guy in the middle, he looks familiar. Yes, it was Prince Albert of Monaco. He came specially. He's the new member of the team. I don't know how many missions he's going to be involved in, but he was there to give the big takeoff for the start of this round the world tour. And we had a chat with him after, which we'll hear in just a second. But before that, I want to speak to one of the men that you saw in that video, mission engineer Christoph Schettig. And you were the guy nodding his head, looking very, very positive. But there was a moment, wasn't there, when we weren't sure if we'd actually take off. All those people waiting so expectantly. We've been delayed so many times, and there was a bit of tension. Would we finally make it, Christoph? So take us through what happened.
Well, actually, just about 30 minutes before takeoff, everything looked perfect. And then we had a little technical problem, which initially puzzled us and had to be solved to make sure that André has a safe aircraft to fly. As you know, the 4 batteries store the electric energy of the aircraft, and they have a voltage of about 220 to 280 volts. But the cockpit itself runs on 28 volts. So you need an electric component which transfers this high voltage down to 28 volt. We have 3 of them, the so-called DC-DCs. And one of these DC-DCs just indicated a failure for about 10 minutes, which would have meant that André would have lost certain equipment in the cockpit. For example, his heated shoes, which he desperately needs at high altitude. So we went into troubleshooting. You saw Hans, one of the engineers, joining André in the cockpit. And after about 15 minutes, we actually found out that the component itself was running, but the control circuit checking the component had a problem. So, for example, if you know a car, like modern cars, they have a certain system which tells you to see a service every 15,000 miles. Now, assume this system is broken and tells you to see the serviceman, but the car is actually fine. So this happened that morning, and we took about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to figure out that the actual component was fine. We changed some plugs in the aircraft, and now the monitoring system is working as well. So with about, I think, 30 minutes delay, we were able to give go-ahead and take off to Muscat.
And I understand there were two discussions going. First of all, the discussion, do we cancel the flight? And luckily for everyone, the decision was taken to go ahead. Secondly, the discussion was, what do we do when we get on the ground? What do we do to actually look at that component? And where are we now with that?
At the moment, we are sure that the component is working fine. Before takeoff, we were not convinced to the point that we would take this component over the second leg of Patron, which is crossing the Indian Ocean. As you know, Dubai to Muscat is a fairly short leg over land. But the second leg, as you told, is a long leg over the Indian Ocean, and we were actually considering making a repair stop in Muscat overnight, which would maybe have taken longer than the planned 6 to 7 hours for the pit stop. Then we would have had to deploy the mobile hangar. So there was a lot of discussion going on. Also, we were not really sure where the spare part actually is located. We knew it's in the support aircraft in one crate, but as you know, normally it's the crate all the way on the bottom in the front where you have to unload everything. But luckily enough, after 30 minutes, we got a go-ahead from the engineers on the phone in Abu Dhabi and in Switzerland, and they confirmed that the aircraft was good to go.
Okay, so the last update that we had, last briefing, was green. Green is good, green means go, and no change since then?
No change since then. We are all green for the landing of Andre in about 1 hour, and we are all green for the takeoff of Patron in about 7 to 8 hours from now.
Oh, is that all it is? Oh. Right.
Yeah.
Whew, not much sleep for us then. Not much sleep for anyone, in fact. So that's one of the difficult parts of the pit stop as well. In terms of energy levels, is adrenaline keeping everyone going? How are you managing to work your sleep patterns?
That's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I can tell you after the second day. No, but we have a little shift system, so everyone gets a nap from time to time. We also have good food, nice people, and most of all, we have a very interesting project that's better than coffee or Coke, for sure.
And we have been very well looked after today as well. We had some wonderful food here. Thanks to everyone who's helped keep us comfortable and make us happy. Yeah. And we spoke to Andre a little earlier, Christophe, and I asked him, of course, started by asking him about that little drama this morning. Let's hear what he had to say. Hello, Andre. This is Connor. I just want to make sure you can hear me, and if you can, we can start the interview. Please confirm.
Yes, we do loud and clear, Connor.
Thank you very much, Andre. So my first question is, I'd like you to take us through the drama of this morning, because all of us here in Monaco were waiting, including the Prince, to see what would happen. So can you give us a quick resume of what happened, please?
Yes, you know, experimental airplane, remain experimental airplane. And we had an alarm on what we call DC-DC converter. We started the system again. In fact, it disappeared, but still, you know, you better be careful and checking everything in detail before you launch the flights. So it took us a bit time to make sure that the potential problem we could have was not a real one, and that's what we did. And engineers came on board, checked all the systems and the plugging to make sure that everything was fine, and then it was fine. So there was a little bit suspense. I agree with you, because you know, in this situation, you may have to decide not to go after making such preparation. That can be really, really difficult.
And of course, the big story of this flight was when you lost your spoon after takeoff. Did you manage to finally eat your breakfast?
Yeah, I did. But it was not so much losing my spoon. It was more, you know, everything is set somewhere in a very organized way. And I had no time to really look for it because the air was bumpy. We were working on many items, and I didn't have time to look around to find it. And it's part of getting used to where you put things. You have boxes all over the place, and sometimes it's difficult to get to them. So I prefer to have, the direct feedback from the guys who, and from Daniel, who organized this cockpit in a wonderful way, than to search for it for too long a time.
I can understand that, André. And finally, when it was announced who would be the first pilot for this round-world flight attempt, it was a very emotional moment for you and for Bertrand. But did you manage to keep your emotions in check and stay focused during this flight?
Oh, yes, on one part, when we were on the ground, that was a great moment. So with all the guests we had here in Abu Dhabi, so that was a very, very special moment. But as soon as you board the airplane, you are caught by the little problems, organizational questions. So you are back in operations, back in what we also know what to do. And I don't want to say you forget the situation, but in some ways you get so focused that you're in the cockpit and you do your job. Huh?
And you're living in the moment. André, thank you very much and wish you a safe landing, and we look forward to seeing you on the ground in Oman.
Yeah, looking forward too. Have a nice time, Conor. Bye-bye.
We never did find out what happened to that spoon. I've got Luc Trulemans here with me, the expert meteorologist. You were on that. André and the spoon mystery. I think we'll have to find out when we land. He didn't find his spoon, did he? We saw him rooting around for it just after takeoff. But anyway, not one of the major problems that we've had to deal with. You, however, do deal with one of the major problems that affects Solar Impulse all the time, and that's the weather. That's why there's not just you, there's you too. That's Wim, who'll be taking charge of the next flight. We spoke this morning about dust, didn't we? That was the big bugbear for us. Is it still dusty in Oman?
Yeah, it's dusty below 8,000 feet. Still the same dust coming from Iran and Iraq after the sandstorm of yesterday and the day before. Now he's flying in this dust because he's descending to the airport of Muscat. The wind is still too strong at the surface. The latest observation gave us some 11 knots in the axis of the runway, but it's too much as headwind. So we are waiting for 20-hour local time, a little bit later, when the wind will decrease below the limits, the security limits, and those security limits are near 7 or 8 knots. Headwind, of course, in the axis of the runway.
Okay, so you're pretty confident because you're very good at finding out exactly what the wind and what the temperatures are going to be. So you've managed to narrow down that window quite.
It's my job, huh?
It's your job, and you do it very well.
But I was surprised this midday when I was taking a nap. Wim called me, look, you must come because we have some turbulence at 20,000 feet. And I watched this turbulence. It was a very narrow level where the wind was changing in direction, 300 meters thick, and those directions change in winds give some turbulence at that level. And we asked him to climb for 1,000 meters, and it was finished. So you see, when you think that everything is okay, but the surprise is always there because the nature do those things that we cannot forecast with the strongest computers and the best models in the weather.
Well, it's coming around very soon, that estimated landing window, in just a few minutes' time. And overall, you're fairly happy with how it's gone for you and the team?
Yep, we are happy. It was the first time that we flew in dusty conditions, so normally the engines were running fantastic in those dusty conditions. We will check now this evening also some normal checks on the ground to prepare the aircraft for tomorrow. Tomorrow, the next leg tomorrow is a longer leg above water. Wim will do the job to Ahmedabad, Muscat Ahmedabad, and we will see how the weather will be tomorrow morning for the takeoff.
Okay, we'll check in with Wim tomorrow before takeoff. Luc, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
You saw a little earlier the new member of our team who actually gave the go-ahead, the green light, to André Borschberg this morning. Prince Albert of Monaco, and He is apparently coming back a little bit later to welcome Andre as he lands. But before then, well, let's go back to this morning. After he gave the takeoff, I asked him what it felt like to be a member of the team.
It was a great honor and joy for me to be able to give Andre the go-ahead and the start of this incredible adventure. And I'm so thrilled that personally, but also for the Principality of Monaco and for my foundation to be associated with this project and to have the control and communication center here in Monaco is a tremendous honor and privilege for us, and that we will be close to as close as possible to the project and to the different flights, and to have our name associated with this beautiful project that I've been following for many years, thanks to my friendship with Bertrand and with Andre, and just to see it unfold and actually happening is absolutely unbelievable.
So when people ask us, as they often do, why Monaco? Why is mission control in Monaco? Is it the main answer? Is it down to your friendship with Bertrand, or is there any other reason why it had to be here?
Well, I think they were looking for, I think, a different location other than the start and finish point to be able to involve more people around the world, and certainly to have probably a foot still in Europe. And it came out of a discussion that we had several months ago, and so I proposed. I said, well, listen, why don't? Is it possible? Do you think that that you could accept to have the center in Monaco? And they said yes, and I was surprised but thrilled, and we were able to do this setup here, and I think it's a very practical setup for everybody, and as I said, to have Monaco, where innovation in different sciences and technologies has always been at the forefront of our attention, and to go back even further in history, my great-great-grandfather, Prince Albert I, was very connected to airplanes and to aeronautics, because he followed the progress of airplanes, and the first attempt at a test helicopter flight happened here in Monaco. And so I think it's a great link to the past, to see this wonderful new technology with the Solar Impulse project. And I think my great-great-grandfather would have loved to have been here and loved to have seen this happen.
Prince Albert of Monaco speaking to us this morning, just after he'd given the go-ahead for the round-the-world flight attempt. And the first leg, Andre Borschberg flying from Abu Dhabi Albertine Airport, which we've left now. We'll be back, inshallah, around about mid-late June, flying to Oman, and he's flying above Oman right now, and we are expecting him fairly imminently in the next few minutes, if everything goes according to plan, to start heading down. And we are also hoping to start seeing some of the images of the plane arriving at Muscat International Airport. And as we wait for him, I want to welcome Larissa to the show. Hello, Larissa.
Hello.
There's your microphone, so we can hear you nice and clearly.
Is it open?
It is open. We can hear you now across the world.
Great.
Via various social media, and that's one of the things that you do. You look after the social media with the rest of your team in that back office that we can't see in the back. Maybe we'll take a look at that at some point. We've got a camera in there, I think, to see what everyone looks like, and hopefully they won't be too scruffy when we see them. It's been a long day for you, hasn't it?
It has. We haven't slept much. We're trying to do our best to stay awake and be responsive to everything that's happening on social media right now.
And what has been happening? Has there been a lot coming through?
A lot has been coming through. I mean, it's the first flight ever for the departure of the round the world, so it's huge. All the media was here, international media, French media, local media here in Monaco. So it was it was really interesting.
So you've been looking through all of the things that they've been pushing out as well?
Exactly. Mostly what they've been pushing out, to reply, to engage, to be able to you know, reply to all the questions they have. Most of the people are not really aware of the project or not in detail, so we're trying to give a maximum of information. A lot of funny stuff as well is happening on social
Well,
media.
we'll come to that in a second, but what about questions? You talk about people who hadn't known anything about the project, so are they asking questions, saying, well, what is this thing? How does it work? Are you getting it already?
Basic questions like, how does it fly at night? It's not only...
Which is a good question, let's be
I know
honest.
a lot of people ask that question. So we always answer, well, you know, we have to charge the batteries during the day under the sun, so it needs to be a clear sky, and then charge the batteries for it to fly all around 12 hours in the night. So
yeah, a very good question. So take us through then some of the funny stuff you were talking about on what kind of social media channels and what are they sending?
Well, mostly people dare most, I would say, on Twitter. Facebook is more about the beautiful pictures, Instagram as well. Twitter is more the instant, the live. So we can see that people dare to make jokes, to laugh about the plane, to make funny drawings, to send screenshots of their computer, the live shows.
Oh, let's go back to one of those tweets that we saw a little earlier. If we can get that on the screen, let's take a look.
Okay, so that's Nicolas Bidot with Bertrand Piccard. It's a very funny picture. He was there for the takeoff this morning. They had a lot of fun.
And you can see that as well if you go onto the website, which you're probably on now, in fact, and look back at the live Solar Impulse TV from this morning, you'll see Nicolas Bidot, who was the one wearing a very natty pink scarf, wasn't he, and wearing also a very heavy-looking Swiss flag, which I was expecting him to start throwing around, as Swiss people sometimes do. He disappointed me, and you didn't get to throw that one around.
Actually, people make a lot of jokes about Switzerland because they know that it's a project that was born in Switzerland. So like, how do you guys stay alive? And we often comment, well, you know, through having chocolates. We eat a lot of chocolate because we're Swiss. So we joke around like this on Twitter mostly.
Now, if you wondered whose arm that was just then, that was my arm, waving at Prince Albert of Monaco, who he couldn't get enough this morning. Even though it's probably been a long day for him as well, he's come back, and I fully expect him, even though he's much more smartly dressed than the rest of us this afternoon, to take up the position in the front room next to Raymond and welcome André back on the ground. And maybe we can take a look at him getting into position now. And we'll try and catch a few words with him. We're crossing now, in fact, live to Muscat International Airport for the first images of Solar Impulse 2. And this is the first time you've seen it. It's quite a sight. In fact, if you've seen it many times, as I have, it's still a very impressive sight, like a huge extraterrestrial craft coming down, very silent as well. And I remember in some of the countries we've been in, there were people phoning up their local media and saying, I have just seen a UFO. And children getting very scared. And let's hope that's not the case in Oman. I think that there's been so much coverage around this that pretty much the whole population of Oman will know what's happening here. So these are all the LED lights. Of course, this is Solar Impulse, so they're very low energy lights. A solution set up for us by Omega. And I don't think it's going to be too long now before André Borschberg brings Solar Impulse to the ground. And let's stay with those pictures now. And Larissa, before you go, I think you'd be very keen for people to take photos and videos of Solar Impulse.
We've been trying to push a maximum of people to take pictures upon arrival and takeoff of the plane. So we have shots of real people. I mean, instead of us and our photographers, it's always nice.
Because we're not real people.
No, I mean, you know, I mean, people on the ground who actually want to share on social media as well, not just photographers and professional pictures. It's also nice to have people engage in.
Yeah, we want you to get involved.
Exactly.
So if you're there, if you're watching this at home and you're in Muscat, then run out now. Get yourself to Muscat International Airport. Now's the time to take a picture. And as the plane gets nearer, I think we've lost it for just a second. There we go. We're going to start picking it up in a second. There, I can see one of the lights there. Now this is live pictures of our crew getting into position, speeding down the tarmac to get to the right position on the runway that's been closed to welcome Solar Impulse. The runway has to be closed because a normal commercial airliner needs about 3 minutes for a window on the tarmac. We need a lot longer than that. So as we were saying, Larissa, you're going to be helping us collate all of the best images. You're doing challenges as well, aren't you? You want people to do funny things, and you've got lots planned, haven't you?
Well, right now, for the moment, we're just asking people to basically send us their pictures of the plane, and if they see us on any social media or media, press in general, to send that to us. We collect everything, and we'll probably gather the images up and make something of it.
And if people are watching this saying, well, why should I make Larissa's life easier? There is going to be something in it for them, isn't there?
Well, we'll see about that. Maybe that can be a surprise at the end.
Okay, it's getting near to the final phase. It's all looking good so far. The approach is looking just as it should. We'll start getting some indications from Mission Control soon. Mission Control is packed, by the way, as you'd expect. Not quite the tension we had this morning after our delayed takeoff, but I have to say, every landing, every takeoff is very tense. This is a highly experimental aircraft, and as Bertrand Piccard, the pilot who's going to be in charge of the second leg, said, well, we should just be happy because every takeoff is a miracle for this plane that many people said was impossible. Caméra. François, est-ce que je me déplace? Tu peux demander, est-ce que je me déplace? Est-ce que... You're looking at images of Solar Impulse TV, Solar Impulse at night, all of the LED lights lit up, making what is a unique sight for this unique aircraft. Heading down towards Muscat International Airport. When we spoke to André Borschberg just a few minutes ago, he was in fine form, and as ever, just sounds like he's enjoying the ride. I have been told that there is quite a reception which has been organised on the ground in Oman. People there are very excited to take advantage of what is going to be quite a short stay, because this is supposed to be a pit stop, and we understand that there are no problems with that. Pit stop, I mean that the plane's going to land for a few hours, and then we'll take off early tomorrow morning. And if you've just joined us, you might have missed the big news that Prince Albert of Monaco has decided to come back. Yes, he was already here this morning. He's decided to join us again, and there he is. You can see him there in the white shirt next to Raymond Clair. And I'm sure he will make the most of his time here to have another chat with André Borschberg.
And Solar Control from Solar Impulse. I will start to turn base, confirm that's the right position.
And that was the voice of André that you heard on our satellite communication. Well, I did tell you there was quite a reception. There you go. Huge number of local people and press ready to welcome André. Amongst them, of course, will be our team, including Bertrand Picard.
Now your beam threshold 08 left.
Okay. But we pause in the middle, so it should be fine. So it's turning and turning.
And if André is this slow, that means that the wind has died down, almost exactly as Luc Trulemans, our expert meteorologist, told us it would.
It should be 2.3 miles from OM, from the airport's reference point. It's 600 feet.
Correct.
And these are live pictures from Oman, coming to us from Muscat.
The wind 08010 knots, 10 knots headwind.
Copy.
We're now looking at live pictures of the Monaco Control Center. Prince Albert of Monaco taking a seat next to Raymond Claire, the flight director.
Base looks good.
Non, j'ai pas de catching crew.
You know, with the wind, you extend. You can extend your base if you wish.
It looks good.
I'd like to hear that.
It's just a few minutes after
You have presently wind
1600 UTC, which is 2000 local time for the airplane in Oman. That's Gulf Standard Time. So again, just a few minutes after our estimated arrival time.
And are you in contact with the safe landing team?
Yes, we're
contacted. Okay.
Down to final 500 feet. Looking good.
This is Solar Impulse TV live. You heard just there, only 500 feet until landing. Solar Impulse 2, piloted by André Borschberg.
Now the question is, where do they have these green lines?
Copied.
Ouais, affirmatif, André, sur la ground is ready. Ok, donc on n'a toujours pas les lumières vertes. Ah ouais, bon, voilà.
You're watching live pictures of what will be the first landing of the Solar Impulse round the world flight attempt at Muscat International Airport.
Looking good. You have now headwind 7 knots.
Super. That's nice.
And get out the green and the red light. Please,
And confirm when you have docked the engines.
Yeah. Agreed, please.
Headwind 9 knots, and speed is looking good. Altitude also.
Thank you.
This is Solar Impulse TV live. And in a few seconds' time, Henri Borschberg is going to touch down on the runway at Muscat International Airport for a short layover in Oman, taking off again extremely early tomorrow morning with Bertrand Piccard in the hot seat for the second leg. Henri Borschberg making this look easy, but I can tell you it's an extremely difficult plane to pilot. Extremely susceptible to turbulence, and one of the reasons that we're just over 1 hour behind our scheduled arrival time is because we're waiting for the wind to die down. And here we go, very, very nearly there now.
Dock outboard engines.
I will not forget. Right.
In a short while, you're going to see our catching crew cycling and then running, literally running after the airplane. That's why they're called the catching crew. And there we are. Confirmation, we're down. Solar Impulse has touched the ground and landed in Oman. First leg is now complete. And congratulations from all of us in Monaco Mission Control, including Prince Albert of Monaco, who's here to see André safely down the ground. And we're just going to wait until the plane comes to a complete stop. The two cycling members of the catching crew still level with the plane as it reaches its final position on the tarmac. And there it is. Congratulations again to Henri Borschberg. One leg is down, 11 to go. Don't think they're all going to be as straightforward as that one. And you won't have much long to wait until the next one. Join us again on solarimpulse.com for the next Solar Impulse TV live program. It's going to be early in the morning, and we will have the exact times. Just going to wait for confirmation. They'll be on the website.
Engine run up, and we open the door in front of the tent. Everybody is waiting for you, so maybe we can just push you, and you can deal with the radar again. Yes, that's very fun. That's very fun.
André, c'est Albert. Écoutez, bravo. C'était superbe arrivée. On a vu de très belles images. Et vraiment, félicitations pour ce premier vol magnifique.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. C'est vrai qu'on s'est parlé ce matin. J'ai l'impression, c'est fou, ça fait déjà une éternité. J'ai vécu tellement de choses ici.
Et je suis content d'avoir fait cette première étape, Bertrand fera la deuxième demain. Et c'est vraiment un plaisir de pouvoir se parler ce matin, et puis un grand plaisir de pouvoir se reparler ce soir. En tout cas, on a bien démarré, touchons du bois, j'espère que ça va continuer comme ça.
Ouais, c'est superbe et tout le monde est ravi ici. Et c'est vrai, j'ai suivi un peu le vol pendant la journée sur les écrans, mais d'être là pour vous voir et de pouvoir vous parler, c'est formidable. Et vraiment, bravo, on est super content ici à Monaco.
C'est magnifique, le centre de contrôle, en tout cas, est tellement vital pour nous. C'est tellement essentiel, vous l'avez vu aujourd'hui, hein, c'est avec le centre de contrôle qu'on travaille, c'est eux qui réfléchissent à la stratégie, c'est eux qui réfléchissent et nous aident à résoudre tous les problèmes, c'est eux qui vont le guider à la destination. Donc d'appeler Monaco tous les jours, ça nous rapproche en tout cas.
Super, j'espère que ça va continuer.
Ouais, je touche du bois, mais j'ai déjà dit ce matin, on est tellement reconnaissant pour le support, et puis je pense que c'est tellement extraordinaire de pouvoir le faire chez vous, aussi avec ce que vous faites dans toutes les questions qui sont liées au développement durable, à l'environnement, à toutes les questions du climat. Donc de pouvoir travailler ensemble aussi sur notre mouvement, toute notre action vue du COP21, je pense que c'est aussi je pense que ça va être une année extraordinairement enrichissante.
Oui, absolument. Et on est très reconnaissant. Et merci de porter ces messages aussi loin et avec autant de passion. Merci beaucoup, André. Et comment est-ce que vous vous sentez?
Alors, je me sens extraordinairement bien. C'était tellement passionnant d'avoir le temps de découvrir un peu cet avion. Pour une partie, j'ai beaucoup travaillé. Donc à certains moments, il y a beaucoup à faire. Et puis après, j'ai pu découvrir la vie dans le cockpit, la vie dans cet habitacle. Hein. C'est marrant, on va développer vraiment une relation émotionnelle très, très forte pour prendre ses habitudes. Mais on va se sentir, je me sens déjà un tout petit peu à la maison, donc c'est un petit peu marrant de dire ça, mais c'est un petit peu le sentiment que ça donne.
C'est formidable. J'espère que vous allez pouvoir vous reposer un petit peu et puis passer les consignes à Bertrand alors pour demain.
Oui, on va mettre dans la main, donc je vais lui passer le mot à Chavalais, et c'est lui qui va reprendre le flambeau et qui partira demain matin. Et on va avancer comme ça va être aussi passionnant de découvrir le pays, et puis de comprendre aussi les motivations de chaque pays, les besoins, parce que tous les pays n'ont pas la même, pas nécessairement la même dynamique, et la même situation, les mêmes besoins, mais pour ces technologies propres, c'est vrai que ça s'intéresse à tout, parce que ça peut permettre à répondre aux questions d'approvisionnement d'énergie où on en a besoin, ça va nous permettre d'améliorer aussi l'état des grandes villes, qui souffrent aujourd'hui beaucoup de notre surconsommation. Donc par contre, ça va être extrêmement intéressant de parler de ces différentes questions.
Oui, André, pardon, on vous a moins bien entendu là sur la fin, mais je pense que c'est tout positif.
En tout cas, on va se tenir au courant. Peut-être qu'on aura l'occasion de vous voir aussi un peu sur partout, si votre agenda correspond à nos différentes étapes. Et ce sera pour un grand plaisir de vous voir.
Oui, absolument. J'espère pouvoir venir vous voir à une des arrivées.
C'est particulier. Ah, pardon. C'est moi. J'étais en train de... On m'a demandé de quitter l'avion et je ne fais pas mon travail. Mais c'est bon.
Bravo André, de toute l'équipe.
Merci. Écoute, bravo à vous, merci à vous. Hein.
Merci beaucoup, André. Je vous passe Raymond. Merci.
Merci. Très très bonne journée. Très bonne journée. À très bientôt. Hein.
Okay, André, so the run-up, you will do it face wind, but on the tarmac, and then as I wrote you the message, you will open the door and disembark in front of the tent.
Ouais, c'est parfait. It's perfect.
You're watching live images from Oman, and the door's been taken off, and that is André Borschbok, who successfully completed the first leg of the round-the-world flight attempt. He's made it to Oman, safe and sound, after a flight which lasted just over 13 hours. And we're heading back now to Monaco. See the reaction from the Mission Control Center and our special guest of the day, Prince Albert of Monaco, who had some words of encouragement a little earlier. Just hearing André pay homage to the team here in Monaco and to all the people who have made Solar Impulse possible. And also mentioning the message behind Solar Impulse of sustainability and energy efficiency, and the message that Solar Impulse wants to spread across the world, that what we have managed to do in the air, i.e. achieve the impossible, all of us can achieve on the ground. We can have a world without fossil fuels. The plane is just being maneuvered off the runway. With André still inside. I'm going to stay with André at Muscat Airport until we see him disembarking in front of all the waiting guests. We'll get the exact confirmation shortly, but this flight took just over 13 hours, so an hour longer than we'd expected, with an initial delay of around about 40 minutes, 42 minutes to be precise, due to a slight bug in the system. that was deemed not to be serious enough to cancel the flight. And we're very happy about that because now we've made it to our first destination and we have the first of 12 legs under our belt. You won't have long to wait for the next leg. The next leg is coming up immediately. We're doing a pit stop, leaving Oman bright and early tomorrow morning. Time in Oman. For what will be a much longer flight, Bertrand Piccard is going to be taking charge of the second flight from Oman to Ahmedabad. And this flight is expected to be a record breaker in terms of distance. Lots of lessons will have been learned from this flight as André gets used to this aircraft. And it's been a chance to test out the new systems, the new equipments. One of the most important probably being the oxygen supply. This was a brand new system which was completely modified. And I know that the people involved in the design team have been working flat out to make sure that the oxygen system works and also is certified as fit to fly. That's the welcome committee for André, including his wife Yasmin, who will probably be one of the first to welcome him. I'm sure that Bertrand Piccard is in there somewhere. I know he had a little sleep earlier. But it would be unlike him to miss any of the takeoffs and landings of Solar Impulse. We're staying with these live pictures for just a few minutes longer for the first landing of Solar Impulse around the world from Abu Dhabi to Oman. And these pictures are coming to you live from Muscat International Airport. Plenty of people from Oman who have decided to come out and see the plane being pulled off the runway by the ground crew. And we'll see if we can just get a quick reaction from Prince Albert of Monaco is here. Just a very quick one, just to say, well, I said we'd see you again. I didn't think it would be this quick. So yes, you had to come back. You saw him off. You wanted to see him safely back on the ground again. Is that what it was?
Absolutely. I wanted to be here for the landing in Muscat, and it was beautiful. The footage that we saw of the beautiful lights, the city lights, but the lights of the plane. It was really magical, and was able to talk to Andre, and he was very happy and very positive, and not too tired. After a long day.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't know either, but he's an incredibly strong man, both physically and mentally, and so. But I think the flight itself went well, and everybody seems to be happy. There was a lot of power left, and so it's. I think it's for the time being, all systems are go.
1 down, 11 to go. I don't think they're all going to be that easy, though.
No.
Lots of bumps along the way. Well, thank you very much for coming back, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we're going to say goodbye to you from Monaco Mission Control, and we look forward to seeing you soon. For the full timings, solarimpulse.com, all the information is there. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and we'll see you very shortly for the second leg of Solar Impulse Round the World.